up on Mornings on the Hill, students are taking advantage of the nice weather. Find out how long it will stay warm in our 5-day forecast.
Plus, a look at I-81 and the impact it has had on the history of the Syracuse community.
And a Syracuse football player who manages his own shoe business. We'll have all that and more on Mornings on the Hill. Good morning, I'm Sierra Ryder. Thanks for joining us for Mornings on the Hill.
And I'm Adam Klepp. Here's a look at some of the stories we'll be talking about in our first half hour.
First up, is it spring already? I can feel the heat from here. Our weather girl, Sierra Williams, is out on the weather deck. Sierra, how is it feeling right now?
Good sunshine morning, Adam and Sierra. I hope you guys aren't staying in the studio too long because the sun is out to play. Here in Syracuse, we are experiencing one of the warmest days in months with a high of 60 and a low of 36 degrees. This will be one of the nicest days of the week, but that does not mean the sun will go away. Stay tuned for later on a newscast where I will tell you to leave your jacket at home or bring your umbrella with you. Also, make sure you take our poll today to let us know how you'll be having fun in the sun today, okay? Back to you in the studio.
Thanks, Sierra. Warmer weather on the horizon is good for slowing the spread of COVID-19, and more vaccinations are also on the way. Even some Syracuse students have managed to get at least one dose. Brendan Scanlon caught up with some of those students and is live with the latest vaccine eligibility news. Good morning, Brendan.
That's right, guys. As of today, any New York resident over the age of 60 is now eligible to receive the COVID-19 vaccine. And with expanding eligibility, means some SU students have also been able to receive the COVID-19 vaccine. I spoke with two students who shared their experience and also provided some advice.
It was super organized and very safe. I was expecting maybe a long line or a crowd or something. The first thing that happened was they sanitized hands. They asked me, COVID questions. Have you been around anyone?
A lot of people in line, really long line. So probably waited about a half an hour just to get to the front. But it was very organized. There were two big lines there, people in one line for getting their first dosage and then people going for their second dosage. The workers there were very friendly, very helpful. You got there, you went to a specific booth. I sat down and the two people that were working there, they just kind of asked you, all the usual questions of if you had COVID, if you were exposed to it at all, how you were feeling that day.
Do you experience any side effects or anything after the fact, any fatigue or nausea?
The second dose, yes. I felt very just fatigued I think I got it at 4:00 in the afternoon. Felt fine that evening, then woke up and just felt sick, you feel feverish, and had a really bad headache all day.
Probably about an hour or so I didn't feel anything, and then later in the day my arm started to get really sore. I felt a little bit like I was getting a cold in some ways, just like a head cold, but they said that's pretty normal coming from some of the side effects from it. They said the second vaccine is the one where you can really feel like you're kind of out of it for a while.
But I would tell people that it's really worth it. For the one day I didn't feel so great is so much better than 2 weeks of, possibly being hospitalized.
It's the right thing to do, especially with, the way of the world, how it's been the past year, just with everyone having to wear masks all the time, not being able to, go to public events, concerts and sports like that. So if this is what it takes to get, that sense of normalcy back in our world, then I think you just gotta fight through those shots, fight through the effects that might come with it, because it's only temporary.
And next week, government employees and nonprofit workers will join those eligible to receive the COVID-19 vaccine. To see if you're eligible and to find a full list of vaccination sites, visit the New York Department of Health Am I Eligible link on your screen below. Reporting for Mornings on the Hill, I'm Brendan Scanlon. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Brendan. Well, a prestigious business competition is coming to Syracuse University this April. Madison Hillmeyer has more on the story.
The Holt Prize Foundation selected Syracuse University's Blackstone Launchpad to host the Holt Prize Regional Summit. This year, Syracuse is only one of 3 regional hosts in North America, a prestigious honor for the university, says Launchpad Director Linda Hartsock.
So the Holt Prize is run by the Holt Foundation. It's considered the Nobel Prize for student entrepreneurship. The grand prize is $1 million, and students literally from around the world compete for it.
Winners of the regional campus competitions will go on to compete in the global competition at the United Nations. This year's challenge is centered around the theme Food for Good. Campus Director Claire Howard says a big reason why Syracuse received the bid was Professor Catherine Bertini, who will be speaking at the virtual event.
But she actually used to be the former head of the United Nations World Food Program. She did so much amazing work there, implemented so many programs, won prizes, and the ability that we were able to have her as a judge and have her as a keynote speaker, I think is really one of the reasons we got selected.
40 teams will be participating in the event, and one team called Wax Pack is composed of SU students. The 3 students developed a biodegradable packaging solution. But Howard says anyone in the Syracuse community can come watch and learn from the competitors.
So we are inviting anyone to join. That includes students, especially students who are interested in entrepreneurship or food studies. It's a great opportunity to see what kind of ideas are out there. But really anybody, it doesn't even have to be the Syracuse community, it's just at large.
The competition will be held virtually on April 9th and will be held via Zoom. Madison Hillmeyer, Mornings on the Hill.
Great reporting, Madison. Thank you. A group of Syracuse students and faculty are working to explore Interstate 81's past, present, and future. Sally Walkup tells us how they are bringing this to life with interactive technology.
Interstate 81 was constructed in the 1960s in what was known as the 15th Ward, a large African American, Jewish, and immigrant community. Its construction changed the community beyond recognition. Almost 500 businesses were destroyed and as many as 2,200 families were displaced. Amanda Pauley is the editorial lead for this project. Pauley and her team have been working to tell the story of those affected, starting with their website, visualizing81.com.
Our sort of mission statement is past, present, and future of I-81.
She and her team have learned shocking statistics through their research.
One of the most shocking statistics for me was reading that 90% of the structures in the 15th Ward were destroyed as a part of the urban renewal projects and the construction of I-81.
The site also shows how I-81 was not the only project the city created that destroyed the 15th Ward.
If it wasn't just I-81, it was also all of these simultaneous urban renewal projects that were sort of justified by the city by saying, oh, the buildings are dilapidated.
The team hopes to preserve the remaining buildings from the 15th Ward, like the People's AME Zion Church, through a 3D photo technology called photogrammetry.
You take hundreds of photos of an object, and you need to have to somehow get footage of photos from the top of the building. But then you put it in software and it puts it all together.
The Visualizing 81 team is also working hard to create a fully interactive virtual reality headset experience. They say they hope their project leads to discussions to make plans to help remedy the city's inequities. Reporting live for Mornings on the Hill, I'm Sally Walkup.
As part of Women's History Month, President Biden has announced changes to Title IX, specifically with what it means for cases of campus sexual assault. Our Rob Flax joins us with what the new policy is and which agency is leading the effort. Rob?
Coming up here on Mornings on the Hill. It's starting today in Syracuse, but how long will the sun stay around?
Also coming up, find out what SU athlete doubles as a football player and entrepreneur. Stay with us for those stories and much more here on Mornings on the Hill. Well, time for another check on weather with Sierra Williams. And I gotta say, Sierra, I am loving this sunshine. I just wish I was out there enjoying it with you.
Good morning, you guys, and welcome to spring. Today is going to be such a warm day to just get out onto the quad and have lunch, take a run through campus, and really enjoy today's weather. So I'm hoping you guys get out of that studio soon. But for right now, let's get into the newscast. A light jacket was needed today this morning because it was 35 degrees. But as you can see, we're going to jump right to 52, then 58 this afternoon. A low 50 later on, but this is going to be one of the best days we had in months. So that's okay, right? Thursday takes the lead as the warmest day with a high of 65. Friday will be in the low 50s, Saturday's in the mid 30s, and back up to the high 30s and low 40s for Sunday. Taking a look at our precipitation radar, skies are looking pretty clear across the area, but expect scattered rain showers later on this week. Now, you guys, we put a poll today on the SU Twitter page to see how students are going to spend their fun in the sun, and coming in at a whopping 44%, students are going to be watching the 'Cuse versus NC State today. So if you have the chance, get out of here, enjoy some sunshine. If not, tell me how that conference game goes. Back to you in the studio.
Thanks, Sierra. Glad to hear the warm weather is here, although unfortunately, Sierra, might mean the end of ski season. But On Stage blog named Syracuse University and its Department of Drama as New York State's best college theater program in 2021. SU's drama department was praised for its style of conservatory training and the partnership it has with the Syracuse stage. Syracuse, along with other university drama programs, were awarded for their performances, stage and costume designs, and their training. Thornton Wilder's The Matchmaker was one of the more recent productions the department filmed. The department just concluded this showing of the performance, which was offered to a virtual audience.
Well, Senator Chuck Schumer walking back comments he made about the federal government taking over COVID vaccinations in Onondaga County. The New York senator now saying that state systems have too many requirements and the federal government needs to streamline those rules. His previous comments on the state setting up new testing centers to speed up efficiency, not part of Governor Cuomo's vaccine plan here in New York State. Well, have you ever wondered how a student athlete manages their time? Our reporter Kathina Montgomery has a story about one Syracuse football player who manages his time while running a business.
My name is Anthony Queeley. I'm a redshirt sophomore. I'm a receiver for the Syracuse Orange, and I own my own business.
Now, you might have thought you knew Anthony, the football player, who spends most of his time in this building right behind me. But there is more to Anthony than just his athletic ability.
Anthony has been on the honor roll every semester since coming to Syracuse in 2018. When Anthony isn't in the books or on the field, he is working on building his empire. That empire is called Kickscutopia.
What I do is I buy and resell sneakers. My business is named Kickscutopia, and there's a lot of money to be made in the sneaker industry.
He has always had an interest in sneakers since he was in middle school. But to be a sneakerhead is one thing, but to be such a big sneakerhead that you start your own business is another.
I've loved sneakers for so long. I'm like, wow, I can make money with this? That's just like the perfect thing to do. With going to college, it's like, okay, I'm going to be introduced to different people around the hope from different parts of the world. That's a huge way to just network and connect with different people and get this going.
The shoe resale business is projected to be a $6 billion business globally by 2025. With that, there are a lot of competitors in the business, but Anthony proves to set himself apart from his competitors.
My shipping is 2 to 3 days. You won't have to wait 2 to 3 weeks. And on top of that, if you're buying from StockX and GOAT, they're going to charge you a fee. It's going to be a lot more than the price that you're actually paying for the shoe. So that's why Kickscutopia might be the way for anybody who wants to buy some shoes.
With the responsibility of being a student first, athlete second, and businessman third, Anthony has high hopes for the future. He sees himself owning his own shoe store. You can find his business on social media platforms at Kickscutopia, and make sure to turn on post notifications for any giveaway contest he does in the future.
Well, as part of Women's History Month, President Biden has announced changes to Title IX, specifically with what it means for cases of campus sexual assault. Our Rob Flax joins us with what the new policy is and which agency is leading the effort. Rob?
Hill, that's the home of our Title IX office. And it's a Title IX office that fought hard against the previous administration's guidelines for it. Now, Betsy DeVos outlined rules that limited the scope of what victims could actually accuse and what kind of cases universities were required to take. Those changes being rolled back now through the Biden administration as a result of 2 different executive orders. Let's take a listen on how those rules are changing.
It's the policy of the Biden-Harris administration that all students should be guaranteed an educational environment free from discrimination on the basis of sex, including in the form of sexual harassment, which encompasses sexual violence, and including discrimination on the basis of sexual orientation or gender identity.
Now, those issues were previously tackled by the Obama administration era office known as the Office of the Women and Girls Council, and that was an office that was taken away by President Trump. The new one, its replacement, is the Office of Gender Policy, and it's expanding the scope, and you can tell that from the name. It's the Biden administration way of acknowledging that these problems are not just limited to women. LGBTQ people of all stripes can face these issues, and they're issues the Biden administration is committed to tackling. Rob Flax, Mornings on the Hill.
Still to come here on Mornings on the Hill.
Men's basketball tips off in NC State in just about an hour in Greensboro. Stay tuned for what to expect from the game.
Good morning and thanks for joining me. I'm Samantha Croston with your morning sports update. First, we turn our focus to Mornings on the Hill reporter and Inside the Loud House columnist Matt Majinski to discuss Orange hoops. Matt, thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, pleasure to be here, Sam. Always love to talk Syracuse hoops.
Now, I know right after this show, Syracuse has their first ACC tournament game against the Wolfpack in Greensboro, North Carolina. And this game, another do-or-die situation for the Orange being on the bubble right now. Tell us, what does Syracuse have to do in the ACC tournament to make the NCAA tournament?
Yeah, well, obviously starts today. Syracuse is going to have to come away with a win against North Carolina State, and most likely they're going to want to have to beat Virginia as well the next day. That would most likely give Syracuse a big quality win, which would get them into the NCAA tournament. Any more wins past that, and Syracuse will be in 100%, so Orange fans won't have any more fears.
And as of now, where does Syracuse sit, and what are some teams that they need to lose?
Yeah, well, Syracuse is probably on the first 4 out in most bracketologists. And right now in the ACC, North Carolina State and Duke are 2 teams that Syracuse actually needs to lose. So helpful that the Orange play the Wolfpack today. And then other teams, Ole Miss, St. John's, Utah State, some teams that have opportunities at quality wins in their respective conference tournaments. So if they lose, it'll only help the Orange.
Now, is there a player or two that really needs to step it up for a postseason run here?
Yeah, so Joe Girard is one name that comes to mind because he's someone that Syracuse counts on. He gets the start, but doesn't often play as he should. So if Joe Girard can make his shots, that'll be big for Syracuse. And then Marek Dolezaj. Syracuse is thin down low, so if he can stay out of foul trouble, it'll help the Orange when they go against teams that have more size.
Matt, thank you for joining us today.
Of course, anytime.
And as much as we will be rooting for the Syracuse basketball team today, the reality of the situation is this: Syracuse is a lacrosse school. That was shown this weekend by both the men's and women's teams. The men faced off against the Catamounts in what ended up being a wild one here in the Dome. Fans in the Carrier Dome for the first time this season, 900 students allowed in, and Syracuse strikes first. Off of this ripper by Dordovic, nothing new there. Dordovic had 2 goals and 1 caused turnover on the day. Owen Hills, the freshman, also stepping up this game, a team-high 4 goals. But Vermont, an unranked team, keeping the number 2 Orange on their toes, ending the half down only 4. The score 10-6 after 2. Then in the second, Drake Porter is there time and time again to successfully ruin Vermont's day, a career-high 20 saves on Saturday. And despite Vermont winning most statistical categories, more shots, more faceoffs, more ground balls, Porter rules all. And the Catamounts fall to Cuse 17-13. The women's lacrosse team also picked up another tally in the win column this weekend against Duke, embarrassing the number 10 ranked Blue Devils in a 15-5 win. Take a look. Hope you guys brought your popcorn because the Megan Show in full effect again this weekend. Tyrell leading the way, scoring 5 of Syracuse's 15. Emma Ward also making a name for herself this weekend, 4 goals on the day, including a behind-the-back goal. Are we sure she's only a freshman? Someone should check on that. Syracuse so far has won all 3 of their games by at least 10 goals. This one, no exception. Cuse wins by 10, moving to 3-0 on the season, and in doing so, Coach Gate also picking up his 200th career win. The biggest test of the season thus far for the Orange is going to come this Thursday when they face off against number 4 ranked Notre Dame right here at the Dome. Now, the Carrier Dome had fans for a game this weekend, as we mentioned, for the first time in 371 days. Our Matt Majinski spoke with an SU student who went to the game.
The wait is finally over. Syracuse students are allowed back inside the Carrier Dome after about a year removed due to the COVID-19 pandemic. One SU student, Ricky Sayer, was able to check it out firsthand.
I was at the last game before they took down the old dome roof, and I was at the first game since they put the new dome roof up and allowed fans back in.
So students are excited that they can finally shut off their streams and head inside into the Carrier Dome. And Sayer said the fans were eager to get back inside because even though a lot of them may not have been lacrosse fans, they were excited to at least be in the Carrier Dome.
There were a lot of people in there who are not fans of lacrosse. They were just happy to be in there and happy to be in the new building and happy to be among the first people to be at a game in the new Carrier Dome.
Here at WAER, we're committed to bringing you stories about the Syracuse community. But we know you're busy. You may not always be able to tune into the radio at exactly the right time. So now we're getting you the stories you want, however you want them, whenever you want them. Whether it's through the NPR One app, on our website, or live on air, we're finding new ways to make sure you're getting the quality journalism you deserve. It's never been easier to access reporting you trust and care about.
Welcome back to Mornings on the Hill. Hip-hop mogul Drake surprised fans with new music over the weekend. Drake's new EP, Scary Hours 2, was released on March 6th and debuted 3 new songs. Lemon Pepper Freestyle, my personal favorite. Wants and Needs was the hottest. Wants and Needs featuring Lil Baby, and the hottest of the 3, What's Next, which is moving up to #1 on the Hot 100 chart. The EP is expected to sell 100,010 copies in the first week, which for Drake, Sierra, comes as no surprise.
It certainly doesn't, but you know, speaking of great music, Sunday night is a big night for the music industry. It is the long-awaited 2021 Grammys, and there's a lot to look forward to here. Best New Artist nominees, including Megan Thee Stallion, Doja Cat, Noah Cyrus, and one of my personal favorites, Ingrid Andress. And then there's the coveted Song of the Year category with this year's bops, including Post Malone's Circles, Dua Lipa, Don't Stop Now, Taylor Swift with Cardigan, and so many more. And again, you know, it's the performances that I think we can all agree is the best part of the night. So there's a lot to look forward to. So Adam, are you going to be watching?
Yeah, I'm going to have to watch just to root for my favorite Doja Cat. Say So was the song of the summer, absolutely.
Yeah, how does that one go again?
I don't know. Why don't you say so? Da-da-da-da-da-da. Like that?
I think she might be performing that song, so
I'll have to watch then. I'm tuned in. I'm in for sure.
Yeah, well, that is going to do it for us this week on the Hill. I'm Sierra Ryder. You can follow us on social media.
I'm Adam Klepp. Thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you next Wednesday.